I really wish that young women today were sat down before they turned 18 and told all of the truths that I wish I had known at that age. And I'm not talking about the which college is right for you or life's going to be so tough, you better be prepared. Not that advice. Like actual things that would have prevented me from all the overthinking and doubting myself and low self esteem and feeling like I wasn't good enough. Things like, hey, did you know that fear is going to be your best friend? And what you tell yourself is going to become your reality. It would have saved me so many years of stress and doubting myself and crap self esteem, honestly. And this is exactly what I talk about on your channel. And if you're new here, I am all about instilling self confidence and mental growth and becoming the very best version of yourself right now so that you don't have to figure it out late in life like I did. I'm using my own experiences and everything that I've learned about myself and just becoming an open book and sharing this with young women. So if you're in a phase of life where you feel a little lost, maybe you're in high school or college or even just starting out in your career and you're feeling a little unsure and like everybody around you has it all together, which spoiler alert, they don't. Let me be that person who sits you down and tells you some real truths about life, not the surface level stuff. And maybe you can get through the same things that I did a little easier. The way you talk to yourself matters so much more than you think. This one is so big because by the time I was 18, I was so hard on myself. And a lot of times you don't even realize it. Like if I messed up, I assumed it was because I didn't work hard enough and I was always striving into making sure that I didn't fail. And I would spiral if I did fail. I would tear myself down, constantly comparing myself to everybody that I wanted to be like. I would always say things like, oh, well, life would be better if I wasn't so tall, or if I were prettier, if I were this or I were that. And really, I just thought that was normal. And honestly, self-worth isn't something that we're taught beyond like those motivational posters that we see or people just telling us just be yourself or go after your dreams. But that inner voice really shapes your identity. And for most people, especially young women, that voice can be really mean sometimes. What your brain hears over and over again, either from yourself or from people around you, creates these beliefs that you have about yourself. And to your brain, they're true. So if you're constantly telling yourself things like, I'm never going to be able to do X, or I'm not good enough, or I fail at everything, or I'm too short, fat, ugly, stupid, insert adjective here, then you are going to believe that. And worse yet, you're going to act like that. I wish someone had told me that you can change those things that you say about yourself. You can catch yourself saying those negative thoughts about yourself and replace them with something that's nice to yourself or positive or works in your favor. Because honestly, there is no benefit to telling yourself negative things. So why are we always speaking to ourselves that way? Stop looking outside yourself for validation. This is a huge one now with social media. And if I would have learned this sooner, I probably would have been better equipped to deal with social media, because even as an adult, it can still get to me. When I was younger, I had TV or magazines that I could flip through, but it wasn't constant. So I know that girls these days need to hear this even more, because you are comparing yourself 24/7. At any point, you can turn on your phone and see a million different reasons why you don't add up or why you're not good enough. Our phones are a playground of doom scrolling and feeling like an inadequate piece of garbage. I used to base myself on what people thought of me, or how I look compared to other girls, or what I had achieved or didn't achieve, when I felt noticed or chosen. I remember when I was just starting high school, I would measure how good my day was based on if this guy that I had a crush on talked to me that day. Like, seriously, how sad is that? But so many of us do that. We're giving our power away to somebody else to validate that we're good enough. And it's just, when you say it out loud, it doesn't make any sense, right? And really, that is the fastest way to feel like crap all the time, because you're constantly telling yourself that you need other people to tell you you're good enough. No one has control over your self-worth but you. Because most of the time, you're handing that job over to somebody who's probably not even thinking about you. I wish I had known that constantly seeking approval and attention was killing my self-esteem. I was worthy no matter what anybody told me or who talked to me that day. Having confidence doesn't mean that you never feel insecure. I would see these celebrities and I always wish that I had the confidence of these people. And I was a theater nerd, and so I loved expressing myself and being on stage. But inside, my confidence wasn't as strong as you would think it was, which was really funny because you would see me on stage and think the complete opposite. So, why were all of these people getting to do these amazing things, or were in magazines or looked the way they did? Wasn't that just something that they were born with? And then I came to realize that a majority of people who are famous or who have realized their goals or have done something really successful in life wasn't that they were completely fearless or overly confident. It was because they worked with the fear. They did the things despite the fact that they were afraid. And nobody told me that. I thought there were just confident people and not confident people. And so when I got older, I thought that if it was meant for me, there would be this magical day when I would walk into a room with my head held high and I would be 100% sure of myself and the decisions I made. And I would never overthink or never compare myself to anyone. And I would never doubt any of the moves that I made. But that's not really what confidence actually is. Confidence is feeling insecure, but showing up anyway. Confident girls still have moments where they question themselves. The difference is they don't let those moments define them or stop them from doing what they want. You are allowed to be a work in progress. At 18, I thought there was going to be some special moment where it's like I would arrive. When you turn 18, you become a legal adult, but you're still just a kid learning. You're just a legal adult on paper. There's no magical point where you become this adult that knows everything and has it all figured out. And a lot of people think that if they don't have it figured out by a certain age, that they're behind or they're weird or something's wrong with them. And if you are approaching your mid 20s or 30s and you feel like you need to pivot, you feel like you've wasted all of that time, and that's just not true. I'm still working on myself. I've had multiple iterations of who I am, depending on where I was in life. When I had younger kids, there was a version of me. When I was transitioning into my career, there was a version of me. And now there's another new version of me. But I've learned along the way, none of that time was wasted. You're going to go through times where you have different experiences, different expectations, different priorities, different goals for yourself at different ages. But at 18, you're still figuring out what you even like and learning what does and doesn't work for you. So it's okay to be experimenting a little bit. Find what lights you up and what you want to focus more of your time on in this season in your life. This is so exciting because you have your whole life ahead of you. And it's fine if where you start now isn't where you end up in 10 years. There's no need to rush and there's no finish line. You have to learn to enjoy the journey. The whole point is that you evolve over time, right? As humans, we're supposed to be doing that. You don't need to have it all together and you don't need to know your exact path. You're allowed to be proud of where you are right now and where you've come from, but still see that there are other places that you want to go. Surround yourself with the right people. You know that feeling when you're around a group of people or you're in a certain setting and you're like, this just is not my vibe. I know, especially when we go to restaurants, if you have in your mind a certain aesthetic that you want or a certain feeling that you want to have and you walk into this restaurant, you're like, this just isn't it. The same can happen with people. I have been there many times. It has taken me years to realize who I like to be around, who fills my cup, and who drains my energy. And at 18, somebody had told me, hey, you have the power to choose. You don't have to be around people just because they were nice to you one time. Not everybody you meet has to automatically become a friend. It's okay to have acquaintances and decide when you want to spend time with them, if any at all. And I used to adjust myself depending on who I was around. I have a fairly big personality, and a lot of people say that I have no filter. And so there's a lot of people that I probably turn off, and that's okay. But when you're constantly having to kind of code switch around certain groups of people, it can get really exhausting. And without even realizing it, I was shrinking myself to that level just to be accepted. And I was walking on eggshells just to make sure I wasn't going to ruffle any feathers. But the right people don't need you to tone yourself down, and they will love you exactly the way you are. They're never going to make you feel like you're too loud or too driven or you dream too big or you're too emotional. You're going to be just right for them, and they will make you feel comfortable just being yourself. If you feel like you have to change around people, they're not your people. And this can be a really hard lesson for some people, but just know that when you stay around those people, can really inhibit your growth. You're also going to outgrow people. This is something that nobody told me and that I had to realize as an adult. People that you have known for a long time, or somebody that you had a really good relationship with, you're just going to grow apart. And that's just a part of life. It doesn't necessarily mean that either one of you did anything wrong. It's just not a good fit anymore. You are allowed to want different things. Pay attention to who cheers you on, who's showing up for you. Who is making you feel amazing and supporting your dreams. And then pay attention to who might be quietly criticizing you or talking bad about you or competing with you. I truly believe that if more young women knew these things, they would be so much better equipped to go from young adult into full on adulthood, where you're just kind of flung into reality, and all you're really taught is the things that are taught in school and what college you should go to and what major and what kind of job you want to get. But if you don't have that foundation, then those inevitable ups and downs are just going to get you every single time. I know that if I had known a lot of these things, I would have spent so much less time worrying about what people thought of me or what I looked like, if people liked me. If you're a constant people pleaser, you know what that's like. If I was doing enough, if I was doing the right things, I would have been able to really show up for myself more consistently instead of constantly telling myself why I was behind or why I wasn't good enough. At 18, you're just beginning to learn these skills that nobody teaches you. And a lot of times you have to figure them out for yourself the hard way. But once you do learn them, your life really does start to change. You start to see things differently. You start to see the world and the people around you differently. So I hope that you can take a couple of these and really start to understand how important they are and how you can implement them in your life. And if you want some more tips on how to get out of that negative thought spiral, because that's usually the biggest one, I have a video about that, and it's tips on controlling your overthinking. It's a really good one. I'll link it below. I really hope this video helped you. This is exactly what I like to talk about here, confidence and growth and really just becoming the best version of yourself. I'd love to know in the comments, what's something that you wish you already knew?